Greg, at the darts for us all the way through until the final. Although maybe if Luke Little gets to the final, John Murray, would you fancy doing the World Darts? I would imagine that's right up your street.
I thought this was the hottest ticket in town. Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Not the darts at Alexandra Palace.
I could see you at the darts, though.
Unfortunately, I'm here, so I'll have to commentate on this instead.
Next time.
Next time. The whistle goes and off we go. Crystal Palace against Arsenal. Mark sitting there somewhere in Saudi Arabia, and here we are on what is a dark December evening in South London at Selhurst Park. All of the almost 8 hours of light that we've had today have already gone, and we have what should be a rousing occasion. The ball is out of play for a throw into Arsenal on the far side. Crystal Palace are in the red and blue striped shirts, blue shorts and the same royal blue socks, and Arsenal today having come out in what looked like bomber jackets to line up before the start of the game in red and white. They've been taken off, and Arsenal are in their two-tone blue away kit, sky light blue shirts, and they've lost possession, and Palace have actually conceded a free kick, so it's a free kick to Arsenal halfway inside their own half. Mark Schwarzer is with me. 109 caps for Australia, great Premier League experience as a goalkeeper. We'll get a word from Mark in a moment. I'll run you through the teams though first of all. Palace with Henderson in goal, Richards, Lacroix and Gay, the three central defenders. Klein and Mitchell are the wing backs, Lerma and Hughes in the middle, then Sarr, Kamada and Mateta, the Crystal Palace top scorer. No Eberici Eze, he is on the injured list, and Chalobah and Kapora are among the substitutes. And the Arsenal side here, 7 changes from Wednesday night when they beat Palace at the Emirates Stadium in the Carabao Cup, but just 2 changes from the league last weekend. Declan Rice is fit, but he's only on the bench today. Marino is also on the substitutes bench. So Gabriel Jesus is in, the number 9, after his hat-trick against Palace on Wednesday night. He gets what is only his 3rd Premier League start of the season as the centre forward. So Raya in goal, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly, then Partey, Odegaard and Havertz, Saka, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus through the middle. Arsenal in possession inside their own half, knocking the ball around. Here's Odegaard, who just moves in field, still inside his own territory, and then knocks it across the back line. So Mark Schwarzer, big day for Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah, huge opportunity for him, isn't it? I mean, obviously the hat-trick midweek was big for him. I think it's about confidence, isn't it? Finding the back of the net for a striker. He did that midweek and earns his place in this side tonight against Crystal Palace. See if he can do the same for Arsenal, but this time it's away at Selhurst Park, and I think it's going to be a very different game.
Yes, you would have thought so, wouldn't you? And the hat-trick in the Cup in midweek took his goals beautifully, I thought. He was offside for one of them, but there was no VAR involved, so we'll draw a veil over that. But it is a hat-trick, it's in the book, but he hasn't scored in the Premier League since January, and similarly Arsenal haven't scored a goal from open play in the last 3 Premier League matches, so it was probably quite an easy decision for Mikel Arteta, was it not?
I think so, yes. I mean, when you've got a number 9 who's some red hot form after midweek performance in the Carabao Cup, I think it's not rocket science. You've got to put him in the team. You hope that he can continue against the exact same opposition a couple of days later.
Well, it's dry, but it's been grey all day in the capital. Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 0. Palace playing it back to Lacroix, and then back here to the left-hand side to the Palace captain, Mark Gay, and then Arsenal win it back. Bukayo Saka is able to send it forward for Gabriel Jesus to chase, which he does, and then closes down Henderson. But the Palace goalkeeper, who had a good night on Wednesday, made some very good saves, even though Palace ended up on the losing side, and clears it to the halfway line. Now Timber returning to right back for this one, showing for Arsenal this season how adaptable he is, playing in both full-back positions and as one of the central defenders at various times, and he's conceded a throw in the other halfway line. And what about more generally as regards this match, Mark? Palace are in good form despite the defeat in the Cup, 5 matches unbeaten in the Premier League, lost just one of their last 8 league matches against Arsenal, who themselves 9 matches in all competitions without defeat.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Arsenal's away record hasn't been great of late. I think 1 win in the last 6. That's been the biggest problem for them, I think. Yeah, you're right, Palace. I've been at the last couple of games as well. I've been the way they won away at Ipswich 1-0. Also last weekend when they beat Brighton 3-1, which I thought was a really good performance. I thought that they got back to basics at times. They've been very difficult to break down. And they've put in some really good performances. You mentioned before, Dean Henderson, he was brilliant midweek. He's been very, very good for him this season.
Yeah, Miles Lewis-Skelly, left back again for Arsenal, the 18-year-old. Started 3 of the last 4 now, and he's won a good free kick centre field, got the ball, had a run with it, was brought down, so it's a free kick to Arsenal. They'd love an early goal in this one, wouldn't they? Because this can be, as anyone who knows anything about football and coming to Selhurst Park, this can be a difficult place to come to, as Odegaard actually takes the free kick out towards the left-hand side. So with this formation, with Jesus as the central striker, Kai Havertz is back playing as more of a central midfielder, although as I look at him now, he's right there on the edge of the penalty area. It's Bukayo Saka with it on the right-hand side. Bukayo Saka is swinging over the cross, right-footed. It lands at the back post. There's the chance, and there is the opening goal. And it is Gabriel Jesus who scored it. He was all alone on the far side of the penalty area. And how about that? Mikel Arteta brings him into the starting lineup in the Premier League after his hat-trick on Wednesday night. Not scored in the league since January, and there he is. 6 minutes on the clock. Gabriel Jesus scores, and it's Palace 0, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, it's a brilliant finish from Jesus in the far post area. It was all come about because of that free kick. They took a quick free kick out wide, played it short. Jesus then moves out to the left-hand side of the pitch because they've still got the big guys up front. Gabriel's up front together with Partey next to him and Kai Havertz. And as the ball gets whipped to that far post, he gets a little bit fortunate, takes a bit of deflection, bobbles down, ends up in front of him, just the edge of the 6-yard box. He runs onto it, and it's just a side foot pass into the back of the net, and there's really no chance for Henderson in goal to make that save.
Well, if only all managerial decisions worked like that. Brings him in to the starting lineup in the Premier League, says, I like the look of what you did, how you played, how you scored the goals in midweek, and just 6 minutes on the clock when he's there to make it 1-0 Arsenal.
I thought that the chance had gone as well. When Odegaard played the ball short out to Gabriel, there was a bit of playing around a little bit with it. Seemed like the opportunity had gone. They managed to get the ball out to the right-hand side. Timbers cross into the box was exquisite, caused all sorts of problems, and Arsenal still had the players forward to cause problems.
Well, on Wednesday night there was an early goal when Crystal Palace took the lead in the cup tie in the 4th minute through Mateta. Arsenal were able to turn that around and eventually reach the semi-finals. Now Crystal Palace on their home ground have got to do something similar here, but they have been playing with confidence as Palace playing the ball out from the back, but Partey, and that's a lovely touch. He opened his body, Odegaard, and finds Martinelli in the orange boots on the far side. His cross though is blocked out of play by Nathaniel Klein, and it is a throw-in again to Arsenal, level with the edge of the Crystal Palace penalty area. In fact, they go all the way back towards the halfway line. So this is 5 Live from the BBC, the 5:30 kickoff in the Premier League on a Saturday, as it has been now for, well, this is the 3rd season, and actually we will continue to bring you this match as a commentary every Saturday in the Premier League at 5:30 for the next 4 seasons after this. Odegaard playing it back towards the halfway line. 6:06 to follow. And of course the boxing to come live from Riyadh after that, as Mateta now is under the ball in centre field and Partey just trips him. Referee Simon Hooper gives the free kick forward and left of the centre circle. He's thinking about it. He's thinking about a yellow card, and I think he's going to resist it.
No, I think he was really quick to show that he believed that it was just a click, touching of the feet from behind. I think that's a free kick. I think that's a yellow card. Thomas Partey knows exactly what he's doing there. He breaks down play. Mateta does really well. Palace do really well to surround Arteta, so Odegaard win the ball back and try and hit Arsenal on the break. And Partey does what he has to do. He takes one for the team, but gets away with not getting a yellow card.
I suppose there were players gathered around that, he would not have had a clear run towards the penalty area, but even so.
Well, the Arsenal defenders were dropping off. You could see Saliba, Gabriel were dropping deeper and deeper.
Hughes takes the free kick and it's headed up but comfortably over and wide of the top right corner by Maxence Lacroix, and it's a goal kick for Arsenal.
It's a decent chance for Palace. A really good delivery from Will Hughes into the box. You can see Lacroix just slightly overruns that ball. Otherwise, he gets a free header and just can't control it.
So Crystal Palace 0, Arsenal 1. Just the settler that those Arsenal fans on the far side of the ground in the Arthur Waite stand will want. Goal kick to Arsenal at the White Horse Lane end of the ground, the Sainsbury's end of the ground, that if you've ever been to Selhurst Park you'll be familiar with. Raya is passing the ball out from the back, and Hughes was almost onto it. Defender came across actually and did a good enough job, but that was very close. Hughes was onto it quickly. Raya was uncomfortable. He was being put under pressure. He delayed, and that nearly cost Arsenal.
Yeah, crazy stuff from the goalkeeper. Doesn't need to do that. Doesn't need to put his teammate under so much pressure. He gets caught. Mateta closes him down, and Raya, he sort of fumbles with the ball a little bit at his feet. He sort of miscontrols it, and he plays a really short ball and a dangerous ball. In the end, Arsenal are very fortunate.
They are very fortunate. It was Mateta who closed him down as Arsenal bring it forward down the right flank, but Lacroix will be able to move across in front of Kai Havertz. Then Gabriel Jesus is putting Henderson under pressure. Now Crystal Palace playing it out from the back. 10 minutes played here. Arsenal leading through Gabriel Jesus's first goal in the Premier League since January. But now it is Sarr. Sarr curls and scores! Lovely finish! Palace are level. Only 5 minutes after going behind, and Ismaila Sarr, left side of the penalty area, just opened his body and curled in what is his 4th goal in his last 6 Premier League appearances. Class act, Ismaila Sarr. Palace 1, Arsenal 1.
Yeah, really good finish from Sarr. And it all starts from Tyrick Mitchell. He does a really good run down his left-hand side, plays the ball inside to Sarr. Sarr, then you can see he wants to get it back on his right foot. As he enters the 8-yard box, it kind of opens up his body a little bit and just whips it into that far corner. Doesn't go right in next to the post there. I think David Raya's a little bit unsighted, a little bit late with his reaction. It's still a really good finish and a tough one for the goalkeeper to save, but really nice goal there from Sarr.
So 1-1, 12 minutes played now. Ismaila Sarr, who has played in every match for Palace this season, either starting or coming off the bench, but he's really found some form. Got a couple of goals, didn't he, last Sunday? You said you were at that match, the win against Brighton for Crystal Palace.
Yeah, took those really well as well. So, and this is another one. He's continued that form. He was a real threat against Brighton last week. And even now, after going 1-0 down, Palace have come to life a little bit more. Obviously, I think they were encouraged a little bit by the way Arsenal trying to play out the back there. Arsenal almost conceding, should have conceded, didn't. And then it was Palace who just kept going. And Tyrick Mitchell, as I said, he was instrumental in that opportunity for Sarr. And then Sarr was the rest. He was the one that pulled off a really good finish.
Yeah, lovely balance for him, wasn't it, in the penalty area. He is Lean, the number 7, the Crystal Palace number 7, and he was onto that. Very quick feet as the ball's played back to Raya, who has to clear it quickly on his left foot, volleys it towards the halfway line, but Arsenal have won that back. And now Havertz will play it to the left-hand side. Martinelli now. Martinelli tries to go around the outside, but there are 2 defenders back there for Palace. And I think Richards gets the final touch as the players come together. Yep, the referee says the final touch was off the Palace man. It's a corner to Arsenal, 1-1.
Yeah, you can see Lacroix there, and Richards are trying to guide the ball out because they win the ball back off Martinelli. They're trying to guide it back out. Martinelli just gets up really quickly and puts in another challenge, and he does really well.
Right, Mark, it's a corner to Arsenal. You know what that means?
Well, my thoughts on that is too many teams are playing zonal marking. Not enough players are picking up players.
Yeah,
and it's costing so many teams goals.
Yeah, but they've scored corners against teams that mark man-to-man as well. I've seen that. There's no Declan Rice in the starting lineup. He's on the bench, and it's a left-sided corner, so it's actually got him and Martinelli who's taking this. But where's Gabriel? He's the man we want to keep an eye on. He's near the penalty spot. So 3-4 players behind the far side. Martinelli plays it in. Gabriel goes for it, it bounces down, then it's played back and scored! He's done it again! Gabriel Jesus bounced out to him just inside the penalty area, right foot, top corner. What a week! Palace 1, Arsenal 2, and Gabriel Jesus has just scored his 5th goal of the week.
Absolutely brilliant finish from Gabriel Jesus there at the far post. I tell you what, again, I said it, there was zonal marking. The ball gets whipped into the far post. Every single player of Crystal Palace are watching the ball. Nobody's looking at where Arsenal players are. They're not looking at any movement. The ball gets held up in the wind at that far post, corner of the 6-yard box. There's a bit of a melee. The ball just pops out towards the corner of the D on the right-hand side of the goal, and it's just Gabriel Jesus. He just puts his foot through it, guides it into that near top corner inside the post. Brilliant finish.
Brilliant finish. It was after that sort of melee at the near post when the ball bounced and was headed up in the air. It came down to Partey with his back to goal, and Partey, just outside the 6-yard box, just laid it back to Jesus, who again was unmarked. He was unmarked there on the edge of the box as it's taken down by Saliba. But arriving onto it suddenly, almost out of nowhere, Gabriel Jesus, full of confidence, just clipped it, didn't he, with his right foot. He saw a way, he saw a sighter of the top corner, and he unerringly found it with that right foot shot from just inside the area. It was played back to Raya, but the referee's brought it back for a late challenge, and it's a free kick to Arsenal halfway inside their own half. It was Jefferson Lerma who just came in with the challenge and caught Gabriel Jesus. So it's a free kick to Arsenal, Mark.
Yeah, you could see that. I mean, that finish from Jesus was really, really good, because he knew he couldn't really put his foot through the ball, because it was Crystal Palace defenders coming out to him to block the shot down. He knew if he threw himself right at it, could have been nasty. It could have ended up in an injury, but he looks to just guide it, and he gets enough on it, side of his foot, inside of the foot, and he just guides it. Doesn't look to try and hit it hard. He just goes for accuracy, and he does get it right inside that post. And you can see Henderson had no chance because he saw it really late, and it's about 3/4 away up that post, just inside it.
So he's got 2 goals in 15 minutes as Raya for Arsenal. The goalkeeper was being put under pressure. The pressing has been a big part of this Palace revival, but Raya got it away, and Arsenal break downfield. Here's Bukayo Saka receiving it from Odegaard, takes on Mitchell. Mitchell's done well there. Yeah, cheers for the Crystal Palace left wing back. That's a little win against Bukayo Saka. And now Mateta clearly having his shirt pulled by Saliba, still inside the Palace half. But the supporters down in front of us in the main stand who aren't backwards in coming forwards, Crystal Palace's supporters, wherever they sit inside the ground. There's about 15 of them down there sitting together with Santa hats on. They were all on their feet, and it's a free kick to Palace.
Well, I think both of them had each other's shirts. I think Gabriel just had more of Mateta's shirt, and in the end did foul him, and that's going to be a really interesting battle, not only with Saliba, also with Gabriel. Mateta's a big physical guy. He loves that physical contact, really good in the air, and he's going to be up against the 2 centre halves from Arsenal all evening. Palace
have won it back. Kamada is going to try a shot, but that was the wrong decision, which we can say now. He was off balance, he was twisting. He had Mateta ahead of him, and Mateta actually turns away from him, puts his hands on his hips, as if to say, yep, wrong decision there.
Well, I think he was just getting his breath back, wasn't he, Mateta? He just made that run. He got fouled down on the near touchline, right down below us. Then he's run 30-40 yards up, and he's tried to win the challenge up when the ball bounces down for Kamada to have that shot from distance. And I think he was just trying to get a breather.
Yeah, which is probably not a bad thing after a start we've had like this. And David Raya is taking his time to take the goal kick, and Simon Hooper, the referee, is onto this already. And he's actually run all the way over there, which I always think probably takes more time than it would do to just actually take the goal kick. But it's a reminder to David Raya that that's his last chance.
Well, yeah, exactly. I think it's the fact that we're at the 19th minute, he's gone up to him already and said, right, this is your last chance now, already into this game. So he just wants to give him that warning. Next one is a yellow card.
Well, I hope, Mark, that listeners are paying attention. Sometimes at this time of year, attention spans can be under some pressure.
Well, it's mostly to do with Christmas parties during the week, John. You could probably relate to that, couldn't you?
Well, I think many people will have been at Christmas parties during the course of this week. But for those who have been, it is Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2 now. And Gabriel Jesus, you don't have to be Woodward and Bernstein to work out the story here. Gabriel Jesus, having not scored in his last, believe it or not, 23 Premier League appearances. 23 Premier League appearances without a goal since he scored against Forest at the City Ground back in January the 30th. Hat-trick in midweek in the Carabao Cup, and then coming into this match, 2 goals in the first 15 minutes. It is funny, isn't it, the way that football works sometimes, as Mitchell wins a throw-in for Palace off Gabriel Jesus, who's on another hat-trick, of course.
He is, and I'd like to know, of those 23 games, how many of those games did he actually start?
Yeah,
and I think that's always key.
Question. Yeah.
I think that's always key to it, and I think the fact that he started midweek, scored a hat-trick, now he started the very next game off the back of that. I mean, scoring a hat-trick midweek in a Carabao Cup quarter-final is going to give anyone confidence.
Yeah. This season, as I say, it's his third start in the Premier League, but in all competitions, 9 starts, and he's come on as a substitute in 13. And you know, some of those have been final minutes of matches, so it's a very salient point. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2, Mark Schwarzer alongside. And we'll have more at half-time on all of the big stories today. None bigger than another defeat for Manchester City as Palace win it back from Saliba. Mateta now! Oh, what a save from Raya! Middle of the goal, just ahead of the penalty spot. Thought for all the world that Mateta, who's got a brilliant goal-scoring record here, would make it 2-2, but Raya came out diving, spread himself, made the save. Now at the other end, Saka, Odegaard with a little touch, and it ran away from Havertz, and Palace are able to clear it.
Absolutely brilliant save from David Raya there. I mean, I think is it Gabriel who makes the mistake?
I think it was Saliba.
Saliba loses the ball, and it's literally it's Palace 2-on-1. The ball gets played to Mateta. It's slightly in front of him. He's reaching for it, lunges, stops it with his toe. As he's done that, Raya has the chance to just throw himself at him, and he makes a brilliant save.
The pressing, I'd heard about this pressing of Crystal Palace in over the course of this recent run, where Palace have lost only 1 of their last 8. But I mean, you can really say, Bukayo Saka is sitting down in the corner of the pitch just down here, and Gabriel Jesus sees him in possession, is actually just going to tap the ball out of play. So Bukayo Saka can get some treatment. Now they can ill afford to lose Bukayo Saka, so this is a concern. And he's sitting on his bottom, and he's feeling, is it his right hamstring?
And it looks like his knee, actually. It looks like his chest and his knee, which he has been sitting there. He doesn't look happy. So it looks like he's worried about it. You can see he's got his hand on his forehead, and he's worried about the injury he potentially could have picked up right now.
Yeah, just keep an eye on him, Mark. Just to mention, you hear the applause now around Selhurst Park. This is to remember a young Crystal Palace fan called Alfie Atkins, who is only 21, who's recently died. He's obviously a very, very popular young man, loved by everyone and anyone, I was told before the match. And this is a period of applause to remember him. There is, whenever you come here, there's a great feeling of community around this stadium and this football club. This stadium this season is 100 years old, and as it says in the programme, Selhurst Park is the heart of a vibrant and diverse community, and I think you heard that reflected there. Back to Bukayo Saka, who I think his afternoon is over. That's going to be the end of it with the injury. So that is a serious blow for Arsenal and what they hope to do this season, depending on the severity.
Well, he was pointing already to the change rooms. He wanted to go straight off. He's right down the bottom right-hand corner of this pitch, where the change rooms are, and he's literally 30-40 metres away from those change rooms. So he's already signalling he wants to go off there. He is really struggling.
Yeah, and Arsenal, he's taken his time. I think he's actually buying his team time to get the substitutes sorted out. And now he has finally left the field. Lacroix of Crystal Palace has come across. Yeah, it's Trossard who is going to replace him, but they can't get him on just yet, so they're playing with 10 men. But there he goes now, just disappearing down that tunnel in the corner where all of the red brick walls are down there, in between this stand and the Holmesdale end. Well, Bukayo Saka, I mean, it was his ball across that led to the opening goal for Gabriel Jesus. I think he'll get an assist for that, won't he? Even though there were a couple of deflections, or will he?
Yeah, good question. Who was it? Was it the committee, isn't it, who decides on?
Well, they need to get the committee in. And
yeah.
My other question actually is, all of the goals that Arsenal have scored from corners, does that count as a goal from a corner? Bearing in mind it was taken. There was a bit of...
I think the fact that Thomas Partey lays it off with intent to pass it to him, not that it just falls off someone and falls to his ground and he has a shot on goal. I think the fact that he lays it back, I don't think it's counted as coming from a corner.
Count as a goal from a corner.
Personally, that's my interpretation of it. I could be completely wrong.
Might need to ask the committee that as well.
I think so.
Yeah. Who is this committee? Who is on it?
I have no idea.
I bet you do know. You know everything. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. Arsenal in front, but they've lost Bukayo Saka, who's having such a good season. And if that was an assist, that was his 14th assist in all competitions this season. 9 goals and 14 assists. And they have to hope. All Arsenal supporters will be waiting for Mikel Arteta to give the news. As Timber crosses for Arsenal, but that's cleared away on the edge of the 6-yard box for Palace by Lacroix. Here is big Mateta, big man, shaven head, and the floodlights are gleaming off it. Big shoulders as well. Mateta, who's had a really good chance actually in amongst everything. It's been a really entertaining start to the match. 25 minutes played, 2-1 to Arsenal, but that opportunity he had, what a good save that was from Raya.
It was what he did really well. What made it such a good save was just how quick he was off his line. I mean, he just literally closed him down. It was because of that pass initially that was played to him. I think it was Lerma who plays that ball to him. It's just slightly ahead of Mateta. He needs to stretch for it, take a touch, and then try and get the shot away. And that moment, that gave Raya enough time to get to it and make the big block.
Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2, as Havertz is dispossessed by Sarr, who has a goal for goal, but his shot actually struck struck Gabriel on the side of the head. We could clearly see that. And down he went. He was already falling, trying to block it, but it was hit by Sarr, hit him on the side of the head, so referee Hooper has stopped play.
Well, referee was right there as well, wasn't he? He could see it from, he was 5 yards away. He could actually see the strike. Yeah, it does. Yeah, he's got his hands behind his back. As he goes down to make the block, it hits him in the side of the head in the ear. I mean, he looks fine, but the referee had no other alternative because he was rolling around on the ground holding his head.
So, play well. The ball's just been played back to Arsenal. Referee Hooper still looking at Gabriel. There is a choice of listening right now, by the way. Premiership Rugby Union on Sports Extra, where the latest score is Newcastle 12, Bath 12, so that's on Sports Extra. Also Sale 5, Exeter 3, and in the United Rugby Championship, Ospreys 3, Scarlets 12, and Leinster 5, Connacht 0 are the latest scores. Here, 2-1 to Arsenal. We'll have more at half-time. We'll be going back to Mark in Riyadh, who will round up all of the day's events and more, I would suspect, on Manchester City's latest defeat. But Palace now coming forward. Klein on the edge of the penalty area, lays it across to Hughes. Arsenal just got a foot in there. Trossard, who's come on as a substitute now for Bukayo Saka, and Arsenal were able to get it away. But Lerma, and then back to Lacroix, who will play it back to the Palace captain, the England man, Mark Gahey, who's off on a run brilliantly. He's taken it in between Martinelli and Odegaard. He's almost on the left wing, right-footed cross into the box. It bounces away to Havertz on the edge of his own area, and Havertz is able to clear it. Excellent play from Gahey.
Yeah, he does really well. Keeps possession of the ball, waits for the defender. I think it was Martinelli comes up looking to close him down. He just picks the gap between Odegaard and Martinelli, gets free, whips the ball in. It's just an awkward bounce for Sarr. Couldn't control it off his knee.
Crystal Palace come again, having to come from behind, as they already have done once in this match, but Arsenal through Gabriel Jesus retaking the lead. Now he has Mitchell on the left-hand side. Tyrick Mitchell cuts back onto his right foot, then back onto his left. Martinelli is with him there. Hughes does well. Hughes wins it from Jesus in the area, looks to cross. That's headed down and away, comes out to Lerma on the edge of the box for Palace, as he picks out Richards. Then Richards back to Gay. Gay's ball in from the angle. Raya has come out of his 6-yard box, arms stretched high, and cleanly catches the ball.
Yeah, good take from the goalkeeper. In the end, it makes it look really, really simple, but does really well. Timing was perfect, took it at a really high point. Not many goalkeepers are coming off their lines these days and taking crosses like that.
So 2-1 to Arsenal. So we hopefully will have news on Bukayo Saka, if not during the course of the match, then certainly from Mikel Arteta at the end of this match. We'll hopefully hear from him live during 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. But you reckon it looked like a knee problem of some sort, Mark?
Just what he was signalling, and then the physio going on there, and he grabbed the bottom of his foot, holding his knee, and he was sort of moving it a bit in different directions, and that generally for me means that there's an issue with the knee. It wasn't a hamstring, it wasn't anything else. It didn't look like he wasn't, hamstring's pretty obvious, turn him around, stretch him. That one for me looked very obviously like it was a knee injury.
And what they've done is, having brought Trossard on, who's played in his more familiar left-sided position, that means Martinelli has come across to the right-hand side. It's not too often you see him on the right flank, Martinelli.
Yeah, but I don't think... I wouldn't be surprised if throughout the night we see them moving around, quite a lot of movement. Martinelli end up also... Because Gabriel Jesus is not someone who necessarily stays always as a number 9, as with the first goal. He was way out on the left-hand side of the pitch, and that's why he was free at the far post and was able to score that first goal. So I could see a lot of interchange going on tonight.
Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. Crystal Palace, over the course of all of the years that these clubs have been playing one another, played each other 48 times. Palace have won only 5 of them, as Odegaard is lost in possession now. Kamada is going to be able to take it on. He's going to use the ball to the right side of the box, and in comes the cross, but too close to Raya, who's able to take that quite easily. Got a good sight of it. The cross from Sarr on the right corner of the penalty area. So Arsenal back in possession and taking it away from their own box with Odegaard, who turns it back to Timber. Then infield to Saliba and Raya just to his left. And Raya goes long with his pass, which is onto the head of Nathaniel Clyne, coming back into the team for Crystal Palace, the former England full-back. Sarr now over there on the right hand side, goes past Gabriel, and is then, as he goes round him, is brought down, and I think that is the cheer for a yellow card coming out from Simon Hooper. It is. So yellow card for Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean, Sarr gets past him. Yeah, he just pulls him back with his shirt. It has to be. There's no other alternative from the referee. Gabriel doesn't even look at the referee. He knows he's getting a yellow card.
So free kick for Palace over there on the far side. The Selhurst Park absolutely packed. It's almost a holiday match, this, isn't it? The weekend before Christmas. Crystal Palace, who on Boxing Day will be going away to Bournemouth, and so with it being Arsenal as well, London derby, Arsenal coming down around about 10 miles away from here, the Emirates Stadium. Everyone wants to see it. And in comes the ball from the free kick. It's headed away on the edge of the box. Richards was closest to it for Crystal Palace, and then Hughes is fouled by Trossard. That's going to be another free kick. Hughes is thinking about taking it quickly, but he does just wait. Simon Hooper actually says, just hang on a moment. So you'll be able to work this in. It's forward and right of the centre circle, so the chance just to drop it into the penalty area. Yeah,
again, it's just a silly free kick to give away. Trossard doesn't need to run into the back of Hughes there. And now Palace is able to get players forward, get their big players forward, and whipping a dangerous ball into the box.
Might be Kamada, actually, who was the player who was available if Hughes had wanted to take a quick free kick. Hughes runs over it. Kamada curls it into the box, and that's headed down and away by Gabriel Jesus. 2-goal Gabriel Jesus out for a throw into Palace, 10 yards back from the corner flag. It's been a little while since I've been here, Mark. I'd forgotten how much the roof of this stand actually comes down right into your eye line.
Well, and the pillar as well, where I'm sitting, I can't see that far post.
Yeah,
sorry, the far corner flag. I can't see it because of the post that goes straight down.
That's just a coincidence that you happen to be sat there. It's a long throw for Palace then into the near post. Gay is there, it bounces down, and then I think finally off an Arsenal player. There were 3 of them grouped together. Yeah, it's a corner. It's Palace's first corner of the match, Mark.
Yeah, the ball just drops to Gay's feet there, and he's obviously got 2 Arsenal players around him. I think it's Gabriel off his back there, and he sees Partey coming to try and close him down, so he just plays it against his feet and out for a corner.
Yep. Mark Gay, actually, who's the Palace player on the scene, actually trotted off the pitch, got the ball, picked up, took it towards the corner flag, rolled it for Hughes, who is going to take this. So Palace grouping players around the penalty spot. So Lerma is there, Gay joins them as well. Lacroix is also one of those men. And just on the edge of the area, Kamada, whereas Mateta is right on Raya. So Arsenal have got this well drilled, and Palace players go in all directions, and Lacroix got his head to it in amongst a crowd of players at the near post, couldn't direct it down, headed it up and over, and it's a goal kick to Arsenal, who lead 2-1.
Yeah, it's a good delivery into that near post area. A lot of players there, and Lacroix does get the final touch. He's just not able to control it. Actually comes off his shoulder, mistimes it. Otherwise, that could have caused Arsenal a lot of problems.
Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. haven't mentioned yet, incidentally, all of the Arsenal players are wearing black armbands today. The really sad news this morning, if you didn't hear it, George Eastham, who's a member of the England 1966 World Cup squad, he didn't get onto the field. He was one of those players who was an unused squad member, and only very much later, decades later, Jimmy Armfield, our old friend, former England captain, was another one who didn't get a winner's medal until many years afterwards. George Eastham was one of them, but he was an Arsenal captain back in the 1960s, and his story is fascinating. And I would say to you, if you don't know it, look out for the obituaries of George Eastham, and it's quite a story, and that's why Arsenal are wearing black armbands to remember him. Partey plays the ball back towards the edge of the penalty area. Raya actually comes out of the box. Long ball for him downfield. It's missed by Mitchell, but there is cover there from Mark Gay, and he's able to head it back to Mitchell. Left-footed ball from him up to Kamada, the Japanese international. Kamada with the reverse pass from Mateta, but I don't think he'll get there. No, Saliba makes sure as well, just with use of his body, and it rolls out of play for a throw-in to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta, all in black tonight, Mark. He's got his collar turned up on his thigh-length black jacket, black trousers, black shoes, out of the technical area for some time with some instructions, then turns back, sees the fourth official, Oliver Langford, waiting for him, immediately apologises as if to say, I don't know how I ended up out there, I have no idea.
Yeah, I think he spends a lot of time outside that technical area.
Yeah, it was the anniversary yesterday, and Arsenal are waiting for, and in fact it's a yellow card. They've waited too long, and so Timber is now yellow carded. Well, Raya had the warning, so Arsenal can't say that they hadn't been warned, and it's a yellow card for delaying the restart.
I'm sure they're not trying to delay time already, are they? I mean, we're only in the first half still, and there's a lot of football still to be played.
Well, the question has been asked, hasn't it? Oh, Jesus as it breaks away. A little touch around Richards. Jesus into the box, and that's an excellent covering challenge from Lacroix, who knows it. He's up onto his feet. There's a hand in the air. That was an excellent piece of defending. I thought Jesus was in.
No, you know why he puts his hand up in the air? Because he makes the initial mistake. He misses the ball. It's a simple bouncing ball towards him. He steps his right foot out, misses it, but his recovery is exceptional. And it looks like Jesus is going to be through one-on-one. He does everything right. Tries to come back across Lacroix. Lacroix just uses his strengths, gets in between, and it's a last-ditch sliding challenge.
Maxence Lacroix. Excellent defending. It's a corner to Arsenal from the right then. Gabriel Jesus must have thought he was away again. It was not unlike the other night actually at the Emirates on the occasions he broke away. Here's the latest Arsenal corner. Odegaard in. Oh, it hits the crossbar. The header rattled the Crystal Palace crossbar. It was Gabriel who was underneath it. He was so close to scoring yet again from a corner, but Palace have got away with it. That's some escape as they now break downfield. Mateta, but Raya gets there first for Arsenal. Arsenal so close to a 3-1 lead. Gabriel, how on earth does he do it?
I think there's a lot of wind going up there because that ball held up again, like the first one where Arsenal scored. It just seemed to hold up in the air for ages. Dean Henderson's come out because there's so many bodies around. He gets caught underneath it, and then it was in the end. I think Gabriel gets that header. He's about 4 or 5 yards out. Don't know how he hasn't found the back of the net.
Martinelli now down the right. There's a header from Jesus, hits the post and comes out to Havertz, who taps it into the net for the Arsenal third. Gabriel Jesus so close to a hat-trick himself, but against the post, bounced out right into the path of Havertz, and no matter Gabriel's header hitting the crossbar from the earlier attack, they have got their third goal now, Arsenal. A clear lead. Palace 1, Arsenal 3.
Yeah, Palace just did not clear their lines. They weren't able to deal with they obviously get away with the first one with the corner where it crashes against the crossbar, and then they just almost go to sleep here. And as the ball gets whipped across into the 6-yard area there, actually towards the penalty area, and you could see there, Jesus, really good header off the post, unfortunate, and for my mind, you could see Havertz, he's miles onside. Tariq Mitchell actually keeps him onside right down the end, and it doesn't matter, it's a simple tap in. He's the only one to react. Everybody stands and just watches the ball hit the post, bounce back out. Even Dean Henderson, I think he thinks it's either going in or wide, and he's just standing there.
Well, Kai Havertz won't have too many simpler finishes than that. Middle of the goal in the 6-yard box, nobody with him, just tapped it in. There must be a Havertz baby on the way as well, a bit like Gabriel Jesus the other night. Havertz got the ball back out of the net, put it up his jumper, put it up his shirt, and put his thumb in his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very simple tap-in for Kai Havertz, but you have to give him credit because he's the only one that reacts to the header. He's not the one. He's the only one that's not standing there and just watching the ball as it goes towards the post.
So Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3, and Kai Havertz with the latest Arsenal goal. And actually now, with a scoreline like this in the first half, I mentioned the fact, you did, Mark, that they'd won only one of their last 6 matches away from home in the Premier League. But the one they did win was that 5-2 win at West Ham, where they went goal mad in the first half. And here they are, still 5 minutes plus to play of the first half with a 3-1 lead. And actually, it could have been more.
It could have been, but it also could have been, I mean, it could have been more goals for sure. Both sides could have scored more goals. That goes without saying. So, yeah, it has been a bit of an open game and both sides creating a lot of opportunities.
So 5 minutes to go to the break. Now it's a free kick for Arsenal on the halfway line. Odegaard is just picking himself up and actually looked to take it quickly. The big blot on this scoreline, though, if you've just joined us, if you're an Arsenal supporter, you will not want to hear the news that Bukayo Saka has picked up some kind of an injury and had to be substituted. Leandro Trossard coming on. Arsenal fire it forward from the back. That's seen back to Henderson by Richards, and then Henderson, the England goalkeeper, on his left foot, clears it to the halfway line. Odegaard running towards our position here, just flicks it back to Martinelli. Then Sarr is able to get a hold of it as he runs back towards his own penalty area. So at half-time, more to come on the earlier events up and down the country. Manchester City's defeat, Nottingham Forest's latest excellent win at Brentford, who had the best home record in the Premier League until Nottingham Forest went there. So Nottingham Forest, Mark, are 3rd in the Premier League as we speak here, as Partey has it for Arsenal, and then Havertz with the ball back to Timber on the halfway line. Odegaard then back into Arsenal's half. They're having quite the season, aren't they, Nottingham Forest?
They are, and I don't think many people would have, other than probably maybe even not many Nottingham Forest fans would have thought that their side could do what they're doing so far in the season. It's been quite remarkable, and you've got to give them credit. They deserve to be where they are. They've been absolutely brilliant. Yeah, 3rd for the time being. I mean, if Arsenal win this, they will go back above them in the Premier League table, but I'm not such a fan of live tables, Mark. I always think that it's very good as a little guide, but it hasn't happened till it's happened, has it? No.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you're right. It hasn't, but I actually kind of like it, I have to say. Yeah. I do like the live table.
I don't mind it as a guide, but, as far as I'm concerned, Nottingham Forest are still in 3rd.
I think it's actually even more interesting towards the back end of the season, where there's so much to play for, and you see where people end up, where they possibly could be, where they drop off maybe to. I think that's fascinating.
I'll tell you where you do need a live table now is in the Champions League, the Europa League and the Conference League. So that actually is welcome. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3, and there's just a little lull now since the Kai Havertz goal, which has given Arsenal, I think I would call it a measure of control, or at least it does until Crystal Palace get another one. As Martinelli, ball played down the right. Lacroix comes across, and as the ball bounces up, he pops it out of play.
Yeah, it's interesting because Crystal Palace on a number of occasions today, it's just been too easy, that long straight ball over the top, either onto the flanks or just straight over the top, and they're winning possession way too easily. When you look at Palace, they've got 3 centre halves. They shouldn't be beaten so easily.
Throw in to be taken by Timber near the corner flag. It's flicked back by Gabriel Jesus. Then crossfield pass gives it away, so the lighter blue shirts of Arsenal are back in possession of the ball. Said blue shirts, it's got a kind of pinky smudge across various parts of it. It's probably an intricate design. Here's Odegaard. Odegaard now advancing with the ball, looks to his right. No Saka now, but Martinelli is there. Martinelli's cross has gone all the way across to Trossard, who volleys it back across the area. He got that all wrong, actually, and hit it straight at Lerma, who is able to clear. Arsenal come again, looking for a 4th goal here at Selhurst Park before half-time as they attack towards the Holmesdale end of the stadium. There's Lewis Skelly over there on the far side for Arsenal. Comes back to Odegaard, blonde hair bobbing, and then Lewis Skelly plays it from foot to foot, and Arsenal go back towards the halfway line. We are in the 45th minute. The fourth official, Oliver Langford, will be just getting his board sorted out there underneath the old-fashioned dugouts of Selhurst Park. It's not changed much this side of the ground for a long time, but they have got big plans actually to redevelop it as they continue to play here. Have you seen that? It's quite an ambitious plan to lift the capacity of Selhurst Park up to 34,000, and they will construct it as time goes by.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen those plans, but yeah, it's one of those stadiums that's obviously an old traditional stadium which has a real nice sort of feel to it. Maybe as a fan today, what you're expecting a lot of modern stadiums, is maybe not the most comfortable, but it's just that oldie worldy feel that I love about football in this country as well, and Selhurst Park has certainly got that feel to it. Yeah,
still just like it was when Eric Cantona just down here in front of us launched his...
Were you here that day?
No, I wasn't here. It was John Champion, I remember, who was commentating on it alongside Mark Bright. That was the commentary team that day, and I actually saw Mark. I hadn't seen him for ages. I saw him earlier today, and it was great. It was great to see him again, Mark, who was showing the FA chair Debbie Hewitt around Selhurst Park. She's here in her official capacity as Mitchell plays it infield to Hughes. 3-1 Arsenal lead, and Palace, that third Arsenal goal has just knocked a bit of the wind out of Palace's sails. Mikel Arteta, it was his anniversary yesterday, 5 years since his appointment as the Arsenal manager, and he is, as he often is, sending instructions out there onto the field. Mikel Arteta, 5 years as the manager. This is his 258th match in that time in all competitions, as Lerma plays it back out to Mitchell. Mitchell whips it into the near post, and a diving header is wide and behind from Mateta. Defender was there as well. He's appealing that it might have taken a touch off the defender, but referee Hooper says goal kick.
Yeah, it's a really good ball from Tyreek Mitchell on this left-hand side. He whips it into that near post area, and Mateta under a lot of pressure from Saliba, but does really well. It would have been a very, very good goal from that angle, but to create something from almost nothing was very good.
And the Palace supporters are onto Raya, who they are thinking is wasting time here. He's taken the ball from one side of the 6-yard box to the other, but he's perfectly within his rights to do that, Mark, isn't he?
Well, he did a bit of a sprint as well, so it wasn't like he was overly trying to waste time. I mean, the referee gave him the benefit of doubt again, I think.
So again, half-time once it comes, only a few seconds away now. We will round everything that happened earlier up. Mark Chapman will be joining us again from Saudi Arabia. So all of the Premier League results today, and the big scores in Scotland as well. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 3 was the one that caught the eye. So Rangers now up to second place after they won against Dundee. Sheffield United still 3 points clear at the top of the Championship after they and second place Leeds United won. But all the details to come, and indeed all the details, many more details on the BBC Sport website and app on the football pages. Odegaard just runs away from him, so Gay is able to pass it to Mitchell. Mitchell now, Arsenal trying to get back. Martinelli in with a challenge. It was a clean challenge, says the referee, but however Kamada infield, Lerma, but Lerma was dispossessed by Gabriel Jesus. 2-goal Gabriel Jesus to the other Arsenal scorer Havertz. Now forward to Trossard across just outside the area. Odegaard now to Martinelli's low shot saved by Henderson, going down to his right, out to Odegaard. He shoots, that's blocked by Mitchell, and the ball bounces away for Crystal Palace. Lovely flowing Arsenal move.
Yeah, very good. And I tell you what, Palace do really, really well to scramble and get back and put bodies in the line of fire, and they do very well. And it all starts because Gabriel Jesus, his work rate is always exceptional. He did it again there. He created something from nothing, wins the ball back just inside his own half, and that starts the counter-attack.
Just didn't quite have the finish, did it, from Martinelli? From the angle, didn't hit it quite as he would have liked.
I think he's looking to whip it into that near post area, because Gabriel Jesus is making a run into that area there, and Dean Henderson makes a diving effort to try and make the save, gets his hands on it, he's able to deflect it out of the path of Gabriel Jesus, and there in the end, that's what there's a bit of a melee. There's a block shot from Odegaard, and in the end, Palace survive again.
So 3-1 Arsenal lead. BBC 5 Live. That's given away by Lerma. Arsenal with Havertz bringing it forward, but he runs into Lacroix, who was strong there, and then Lacroix is tripped by Jesus, who immediately apologises for it. But it's a free kick to Crystal Palace won by Maxence Lacroix, the French under-20 international who was signed from one of Oliver Glasner's former clubs, Wolfsburg, in the summer. Maxence Lacroix sounds like he could have stepped straight out of a Jilly Cooper novel, doesn't he? He's got a bit of continental je ne sais quoi about his name. And here he is, Lacroix, sending it long and forward now for Sarr, right side of the box, where Gabriel has gone across there, and then out from the right, Klein with the cross, and Lerma with the header, but he didn't. I think he mistimed his leap, and in the end just headed it straight down and at Raya.
I'll tell you what, it's a big chance again for Crystal Palace. The ball gets whipped in. As it gets whipped in, it's got a little bit of height on it, and that's where I think in the end Lerma just loses it a little bit. Gets up really well. All he does is direct it straight at David Raya. One bounce, and he's able to just catch it and bring it into his chest.
Yeah, Palace 1, Arsenal 3 remains the score. Richards heads it away, and there is the half-time whistle. I think disappointing for the home supporters who, Arsenal have got that clear lead, but Palace have been in this.
They have been, and they've had some chances. They've had some big chances. Also, Arsenal have had additional chances as well. And I think that's a disappointment for Crystal Palace because of the chances that they had, and they just did not make the most of them. They kind of, the finishes were a little bit off, a little bit poor. That was another example there with Lerma. Just, he needed to have a better header on the ball, better contact, uncontested as well.
But Gabriel Jesus, Mark, must be feeling like $1 million, mustn't he, after his hat-trick on Wednesday night. 2 goals in the first 15 minutes here, and actually it was his header that hit the post for Havertz to score the third.
Oh, he's been excellent. He really has. His work rate right from the off has been spot on. I mean, not that I expected any different from Gabriel Jesus. I think that's something you're guaranteed to get from him every time. And I think his desire then, when they win the ball back, to get back in the 9-yard box, to put himself in a position, get on the end of things, is exceptional. And you're right, he was involved in all 3 goals, scoring 2, and all unfortunate not to have scored a hat-trick already in the first half.
Yes, so he very much is the central figure. Ismaila Sarr scored for Crystal Palace to make it 1-1 for a time, but the players just disappearing now into the corner of Selhurst Park and down that blue tunnel towards the dressing rooms. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3. I say Gabriel Jesus feels like $1 million. That's nothing, is it, in Saudi Arabia, which is where Mark Chapman is waiting?
No, I think the purse for tonight will be a little more than that. John Murray, Mark Schwarzer, thank you very much. We are coming to you live from Riyadh today on 5 Live Sport ahead of Fury Usyk 2. The build-up from around 9 o'clock UK time. Expect them in the ring sometime around 10 o'clock. We'll bring you reaction to all the day's Premier League results during half-time at Selhurst Park. We've also got an eye on Luke Littler, who is at the World Darts in action this evening as well. But first, 6:22, we're going to take an extended news here on 5 Live with Fraser Dainton.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening. A memorial service is taking place in the German city of Magdeburg after 5 people, including a 9-year-old child, were killed in an attack on a Christmas market. More than 200 people were also injured when a car went through a gap in a security barrier and ploughed into crowds at high speed just after 7 o'clock last night. A 50-year-old man has been arrested. The BBC understands he is Taleb al-Abdul Mohsen, who moved to Germany from Saudi Arabia 18 years ago, but his motive is unclear. Our correspondent Bethany Bell is in the city of Magdeburg. Hopefully we can join her now. Good evening, Bethany. How would you describe the mood in the city this evening?
I'm standing outside the cathedral and the service that is going on inside is being streamed on a large screen outside, and hundreds of people are here despite the rain and the very, very cold winds. The mood is somber, sad, and some people have told me they're very angry. But one woman I spoke to just now said it was important to come here tonight as a sign of solidarity for the community at a time like this when everyone is mourning.
I mentioned the person who's been arrested. What details have emerged so far about the suspect and his possible motive?
Well, we know that he came to Germany a number of years ago. He has been working as a psychiatrist at a specialised clinic not too far from Magdeburg. He was given refugee status in 2016, and the prosecutor today said that they are still looking into the motives, but one line of investigation that they're following is whether he was upset about the way that refugees from the Gulf, from Saudi Arabia, were being treated in Germany. Germany's interior minister, in fact, has said that he was an Islamophobe, and this was, and again, another line of investigation at the moment.
Our correspondent Bethany Bell, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Well, earlier German Chancellor Olaf Scholz visited the city. He called the attack a terrible act of brutality and called for the country to stay unified.
Normally, a Christmas market is a very peaceful and joyful place. People come together just before Christmas, in Advent, in the run-up to Christmas, to enjoy Christmas, to think about Christmas, to drink Glühwein and eat grilled sausages. What a dreadful tragedy it is that so many people were injured and killed with such brutality in a place like that.
The attack comes almost 8 years to the day since a similar incident in Berlin. Christmas markets in Germany had been subject to increased scrutiny and security since then. Phil Carr is from the security training company Forseti.
There's always scope for Heinz to turn around and saying we could put more security, more eyes on the ground, we could put more cameras, we could put more HVM in. They do have strict policies they have to follow for legal requirements in order to hold these events. A lot of people are meeting those requirements, but there's morally, like, well, where do you draw the line? Because these events are put on as a business, and they do have to consider factors like that within their planning. We could put 400, 500 security officers on an event of like 1,000 people. But if something happens, we'll always question, was that enough? So it's a very difficult question to answer in that respect. With hindsight, yes, we can do more. But in planning, they're doing what is necessary.
Just to recap, police in Germany have arrested a 50-year-old man after 5 people were killed and more than 200 injured when a car was driven at high speeds into crowds at the Christmas markets in Magdeburg. The BBC understands he is Taleb al-Abdul Mohsen, who moved to Germany from Saudi Arabia 18 years ago, but his motive at the moment remains unclear. For all the latest developments on this story, there's continued coverage on the BBC News channel and website.
Football on BBC Radio 5 Live.
5 Live delighted to be bringing you even more commentaries than ever before over the next 4 seasons with the Premier League.
Listen to exclusive live commentaries from the Premier League, Champions League and more with the 5 Live Sport team.
Stay on top of everything football every day with the Football Daily Podcast.
Champions League and La Liga winner Patrick Kluivert.
The noise is amazing. To give you such a boost is breathtaking.
Football on 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport
with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Half-time at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3. We'll be back with John Murray and Mark Schwarzer shortly. Earlier, Aston Villa 2, Manchester City 1, Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2, Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4 and West Ham 1, Brighton 1. During Sports Report, we heard from Nuno Espirito Santo with Nottingham Forest going up to third, and in doing so, they handed Brentford their first home league defeat of the season. Here's Thomas Frank with John Southall.
Thomas, obviously a rare defeat here. Just give us your thoughts.
I'm actually quite happy with the performance. I think overall we were dominant, we were on top of the game, we controlled the game, lacked the final top quality on the day, still created a lot of dangerous moments where on any other day could have been different. Of course, credit to Nottingham, they did well.
I was going to say, how much credit should they take?
No, of course. You know, there's always 2 teams on the pitch, so credit to them. They defended fantastic. Big credit to that. Also, I think it's nice to sometimes look back to see where we come from. So Nottingham play a 4-2-3-1, I think, the whole season. They played a 4-3-1 against Liverpool away, Chelsea away, City away, Man United away, Arsenal away. Minor clubs, you know. And then they're coming to us and changed to a 5-4-1. I think that's a big credit. You can say they had success with it.
Did that take you by surprise a bit?
Yes, I'm not done. No, we didn't, because I know what Nuno have done in 4 years in Wolves, so we look back to everything. Obviously, of course, there's a reason why I go to a 5 sometimes. I think it's more solid defensively in some situations. I just think that's a big credit to us there, and they haven't done it against other big clubs.
Thomas Frank with John Southall. Newcastle finished off a really good week with a 4-0 win at Ipswich. There was a hat-trick for Alexander Isak, and here's Eddie Howe with Chris Coles.
Eddie, you've had these runs before this season. It's now 3 wins in a row, but then haven't really kicked on. How important that you turned this good spell into a prolonged run of form?
Yeah, the last time I think we did that was the Champions League qualification season, where we were able to go, I think it was 6 or 7 consecutive wins, and they're the runs that transform your league position. So of course that's what we're looking for, but that's what everyone's looking for. I think for me, as long as we're hitting the performance levels that we did today, and I think that consistently for the first time this season, that's the best we've played, not just in one isolated game but in 2 or 3 games. And the challenge, as you say, is to keep that going.
And needless to say, squad depth becomes vital at this stage of the season. It's perhaps something you have struggled with this season with injuries and the like, so important for you to manage your players as well as you possibly can with the games coming so thick and fast.
It is, and that's why we've been lucky, I think, in the last 3 games that we've been able to share the load a little bit, and we've been able to take Alex off in the last 3 games and just save his legs as he's getting fatigued. He's so important. He's obviously our main goal scorer at the moment, and other players we're nursing back to full fitness. Players like Kieran Trippier, it's great again for him to get another half an hour today, so important for us, along with a couple of others.
Plenty to talk about then with Chris Sutton on 606. Guess you want to hear from Villa fans?
Yeah, want to hear from Villa fans. They've leapfrogged Manchester City. They've still had a good season, Aston Villa. Not as, I think, 7 points worse off than at this stage last season. But Villa fans, how do you feel about your season? Manchester City fans, are there Manchester City fans out there, Mark, who have lost faith in Pep? I mean, let's hear from them. Southampton fans, are you excited about your new managerial appointment? Ivan Juric, is he the man to take you forward? He's got a bit of a checkered history, interesting appointment, I think that is, Mark. And my Nottingham Forest...
I think Wolves and Southampton have both made interesting appointments, haven't they?
Yeah, good point. Wolves fans want to hear you on Vitor Pereira.
Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying about your team?
I've totally lost my flow now.
Right, okay.
Not that I ever had one. It's
written in front of you, just go back to
Nottingham Forest, can they, Mark, do you think, Champions League football? I mean, they are such a well-balanced team. I heard John Southall earlier talk about as many wins this season already as last season. So Nottingham Forest fans, you must be delighted with that start. Rangers carrying on their good form with a 1-0 win against Dundee United at Ibrox. And the race for the championship, really interesting that all the top 4 won today. Who's going to get automatic promotion? And Callum Lang, want to hear from Portsmouth fans. 4 goals for Callum Lang. Can you stay up, Portsmouth fans? And Middlesbrough fans, they've got a long trip back from Plymouth. But they must have enjoyed that game today. 6 goals in at 3-3. Let's hear from Borough fans on the way back.
I'm going to talk Usyk Fury next. Did you see them this week with the 11-minute stare off? I would imagine that's something you could do quite easily.
It's a little bit petty, that, isn't it? Isn't it, Mark?
Who would you have an 11-minute stare off with? Well, who wouldn't you? More to the point, mostly.
But what is the point of that? I mean, am I missing the point? What's the point of that? Because it doesn't matter.
Mind game, strength.
It doesn't matter a jot, does it? One of them will knock the other one out, and that's it. So then the one who gets knocked out will think, well, what was the point of that 11 minutes I've wasted staring at them? Wow. No, I don't want to big up the...
Wish you were part of our boxing team later. Thanks very much. 6:06 on the way at the conclusion of the game at Selhurst Park. And then we'll pick up with maybe some more in-depth build-up than Chris has just provided from 9 o'clock UK time. And we're expecting them in the ring sometime around 10 o'clock. George Groves, Anthony Crolla and Ronald McIntosh will be our commentary team. Ron already ringside. We'll do the proper build-up to the fight a little bit later on. What's the atmosphere like there already, Ron?
Good evening, Mark. The atmosphere is building steadily. We've got a cracking undercard here on this rematch between Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury. In the boxing ring at the moment is the outstanding amateur from Liverpool, the Liverpool Lomachenko, Peter McGrail. He facing off against the late substitute in Edwards from Wales. And so that fight moving into round number 6 of a scheduled 10. That one's keeping the fans enthralled here, but it's filling up nicely. We've still got a lot of vacant seats. The Kingdom Arena laid out for a massive crowd, and directly in front of me here in our ringside commentary position, there is an enormous arch. It's probably the biggest one I've seen in an indoor stadium. It says round 6 on the left-hand side in gigantic letters. That's got to be about the size of a 2-story building. And then we've got the same thing behind me as well. Spectacular sightlines all around the arena, so the atmosphere continuing to develop here.
As I've asked everybody so far today, and we'll do it a lot more from 9 o'clock, how are you expecting it to play out?
Oh, Mark Chapman, I can't give you the answer to that. I've got to keep an open mind. Of course, what happened 7 months ago in this very arena will inform the perspective that I'm bringing to the boxing ring. But what we have are two of the two best heavyweights of their generation, both highly skilled, high level of ring IQ, the ability to adapt. They've shared 12 rounds with one another already, where each man enjoyed immense periods of success. Of course, it was Alexander Usyk who enjoyed the more sustained success, came away with a split decision victory. And so will that lead him to be complacent? Tyson Fury is as aggressive and forceful as I've ever seen him. It promises to be a cracking contest, and all will be revealed in just a few hours' time.
Thank you very much, Ron. So Ronald McIntosh, Anthony Crolla, George Groves, all ringside, all the build-up from 9 o'clock. And if you want more on Saudi and sport and their investment in sport and all the issues that are surrounding that, then there's a special 5 Live Sport podcast on BBC Sounds at the moment. It's called Saudi Arabia and Sport, the Explainer, and it's on the All About feed. So you've got that to listen to a little bit later on, and then all the build-up from 9, and they're in the ring around 10. Back to John Murray.
Very good. Have a lovely night in the Kingdom Arena. We'll hear from you later, Mark. And it is back with us here to Christmassy London instead, where it is Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3, and the second half has begun with Crystal Palace playing from left to right towards the Holmesdale end in the blue and red striped shirts. Mateta just shielding the ball and winning a throw-in for the home tide. Oliver Glasner with its tight black tracksuit bottoms has just come and picked up the ball and given it to Klein. No further changes at half-time. So Crystal Palace with Henderson in goal, who's on the ball now. Richards, Lacroix and Gay, the 3 central defenders. Chalobah's on the bench today. Then Klein, Lerma, Hughes and Mitchell. Sarr, Kamada and Mateta, as Palace come forward with Kamada, and the cross from Klein, and Mateta with a header, and that's an excellent save. Sarr diving in and down to his right. Raya 6 yards out, the diving header, and Raya kept it out.
Yeah, very good save from David Raya. Really awake, really early in his second half. Mateta doesn't get the header quite right, doesn't got it towards the goal. It was Sarr at the far post who reacts really quickly, diving header, and it was Raya very quick across to his right hand side to make a really good save.
And that is the voice of Mark Schwarzer with us here in the Selhurst Park commentary position as the throw-in comes in, a long one, and it bounces up over a crowd of players for David Raya or David Raya, actually, as I think he does pronounce his name. I think he does call himself David as opposed to David, because he spent such a long time in this country. If you remember, he was at Blackburn, wasn't he, as a youngster, went on loan to Southport, Brentford for those years. And now here he is, David Raya, who's made actually the number of saves that he's made in this match have just ticked up, haven't they?
Yeah, important saves. The first one in that first half where Mateta was through and he came off his line really quickly to make a big block. And this one at the start of the second half, really good reaction, really good dive and good save.
And the Arsenal team, Raya in goal, at the back, Timber at right back for this one with Saliba and Gabriel together. Gabriel has been booked. Lewis Skelly, the teenager, at left back. Then Partey, Odegaard and Havertz in midfield. And since Bukayo Saka's injury halfway through the first half, Martinelli has gone to the right. Substitute Trossard on the left-hand side. And 2-goal Gabriel Jesus through the middle. So that is now 6 goals this season, of which he scored 5 of them in the space of 4 days. Hat-trick against Palace, 2 more against Palace in the Premier League today. And 3-1 the score. Havertz with the other goal. Sarr made it 1-1 for Palace for a time. Here's Klein for Palace, goes into a double challenge from Trossard and Lewis Skelly. So Palace go back into their own half. It is dry. It's actually quite mild. There's a bit of a breeze here, but I think, as Mark has said, I think it's probably a little stronger out there on the pitch, as Richards, the USA international, passes it forward towards Sarr, the number 7, back into the centre circle. The Croix is going for a long crossfield pass, which is intercepted by the head of Timber, and then Odegaard nods it back to Partey, who has to scurry for this. He's been put under pressure, 3 Palace players on the press, and then a flick from Martinelli wins a throw-in off Mark Gay, and out for a throw-in. We mentioned there the pressing of Crystal Palace. Apparently over the course of the last 8 Premier League matches, no Premier League team's players have covered more distance than the Crystal Palace players, and that probably is partly to explain why just 1 defeat in their last 8 matches. They've done the same today, but Arsenal have had the extra quality, and now here they come again. Odegaard, Martinelli, but it was blocked by the body of Gay, who went to ground, and then the clearance by Mitchell deflects back out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, timing was perfect from Mark Gay there. Threw himself on the ground there, knew Martinelli was trying to nick it past him, just get that little touch past him and run around him, but Gay is the one that throws himself to the ground and makes a perfectly timed interception.
So it's 5 Live, BBC Sounds as well. If you're on the move, I think it's one of the times to travel today on what they called the big Christmas getaway. Saturday evening, the motorway organisations were suggesting that you travel on the Saturday evening, so you may well be listening, wrapped up in your cars, as Palace break forward with Sarr down the right-hand side. Sarr's cross, and Saliba swings out a leg at the near post and deflects it into the crowds behind the goal for a corner.
Yeah, Sarr couldn't just quite get the ball under control, could he? Until late on, and he whips that ball in the near post area. Mateta just can't reach it, and you're right, Saliba's the one that just throws his leg at it, and it goes behind for a corner.
Corner to Crystal Palace. Yes, people will have been in the traffic jams, Mark, when they were listening to Ian Dennis and Paul Robinson earlier, and now of course all the roads will be flowing smoothly, and they'll be much happier listening to you and me. Here's Hughes waiting to take this, but the referee's just saying to David Raya to whether I think that was an Arsenal player went down in the middle of all that as well. Lewis Skelly, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's been wrestling with Mateta the whole game. Every time there's a set play, he's wrestling it, and he's not watching the ball. He's actually just right up against him, trying to prevent him from making any movement. And then somebody dives, and right sort of
Mateta is towering over him. I mean, a wrestle with Mateta. Hughes takes this into the near post. It's headed down comfortably and easily away by Havertz, and then Trossard helps it forward for Martinelli, who gets it down. Palace shirts getting back into position, and Lerma forces him to give it back to the Arsenal back line. Yeah, a mismatch, Mateta against Lewis Skelly.
But Lewis Skelly's right on the edge of committing a foul. He's not watching the ball. He's got his arms wrapped around Mateta. All he's trying to do is prevent Mateta from getting off the ground to make a challenge. And at the moment, because the ball hasn't really got anywhere near him, and it hasn't been an opportunity for Mateta to really try and stretch for it, there's no reason for the referee to make a decision. So he's right on the edge of it at the moment.
Yeah, another little foul on Mateta, 10 yards inside the Palace half. So Palace take the free kick. Hughes, a real dependable Premier League midfielder, isn't he? Will Hughes, 29 years old now, over 400 career appearances for his various clubs, and he's directing operations there in the middle of the Palace midfield. It's very obvious what Palace need in this match. 3-1 down to Arsenal here at Selhurst Park. They need to get the next goals. It's very simple.
Yeah, it's about the momentum change, isn't it? If Palace can get the next goal, the momentum in this game could change.
Here is Mateta now, gets the ball under control on the halfway line and takes it on and shoots from distance. Raya goes down, makes the save, and it's headed goalwards by Sarr, but too close to Raya, who's able to recover well and make what is a double save. Holds the ball, catches it.
Yeah, we're just watching the replay now, because the angle we're at, I'm not really sure how close this ball is to David Raya. Yeah, look, I think he should do better with the first shot. He parries it straight back out in the path of Sarr, and because it bobbles up quite high up to Sarr couldn't control it enough, and his header just gets looped back in towards the right hand side of the goal, and it gives Raya enough time to jump up and make the double save. But again, I think he's self-inflicted that second save.
Yeah, Sarr didn't get either power or direction on the follow-up header, so Raya was able to get to his feet.
I think Raya's very fortunate not to be punished there, because it was the first save. I don't think he does enough with it. I think he either has to catch it, or he's got to get a lot more on it to get it away from the danger area. He just parries it straight back into the path of Sarr, and Sarr should do so much better with the opportunity.
Yeah. So another chance comes and goes, or a couple of chances come and go for Crystal Palace. Lewis Skelly is taking his time to take this throw. The supporters in front of us are on their feet, and the referee has said, what else he said?
He's just saying with
he's taking it from the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean, it's a yellow card. I don't understand him. He's told them earlier on, stop wasting time. Yeah. They're continuously doing it, and now he's trying to gain an advantage by moving up the touchline, and the referee just doesn't give it. He just gives the throw in to Palace. It should be a yellow card.
Yeah, because he took it probably going on 10 yards further down the touchline. So throw into Palace, but Arsenal win it back. Over there on the far side now, Martinelli allows it to run out of play for a throw-in. So 5 Live, BBC Sounds as well. Lines are open for 606. We heard from Chris Sutton there. Robbie Savage will be joining him. So 08085 909 693 to talk to them on the UK's most popular football phone-in. You might want to talk about the new Southampton and Wolves managerial appointments, and Manchester City supporters, I'm sure, will have plenty to say about the situation. So 08085 909 693, and after that it'll be back to Saudi Arabia around about 9 o'clock to Mark Chapman, who's there in Riyadh for the build-up, and then the commentary on the big fight there tonight. Arsenal in possession. They've withstood that early pressure in the second half thanks to their saves from goalkeeper Raya. Here's Martinelli now. Martinelli on the right wing, down into the Palace left back position. 2 Palace players there with him. He's wrestled to the ground, but possession is taken up by Odegaard. Excellent work from the captain coming out with the ball, using Kai Havertz, who glides around just outside the area. Odegaard is tackled by Hughes. You can hear Hughes' name being cheered by the Palace supporters. And then as he brings it forward over the halfway line, Trossard comes in with a challenge. And somehow Will Hughes is penalised, and it's an Arsenal free kick.
Well, Will Hughes is penalised for handling the ball as he's on the ground. So he grabs hold of the ball with his left hand. So the referee gives a free kick to Arsenal. The question is, should it have been originally a free kick for Palace? I'm not so sure. I think Trossard just does enough to win the ball back fairly.
Arsenal back in possession of the ball. Timber plays it forward to Martinelli. Martinelli just shrugs off Gay, who is running alongside him, and then Martinelli wins a throw-in 6 or 7 yards back from the corner flag. So the score, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 3, a scoreline that will take Arsenal back above Nottingham Forest into 3rd place in the Premier League table, and Arsenal are going to make a change. Calafiori is preparing to come on. Ball into the box. Havertz jumps for it, heads it down. That's blocked. Palace tried to bring it away, but Lewis Skelly's done well there, against Ismaila Sarr. And Partey comes across. Ghanaian international Thomas Partey, the Arsenal number 5, keeps possession and plays it back to Saliba. Partey slips the ball to Odegaard in the centre circle. Now Havertz drives it forward, plays it out to Trossard on the left hand side. Trossard now moving in field on his right foot, shoots. That was blocked back into the full-back position, where it's just kept in by Lacroix, who's able to put it out of play for a throw rather than it going out of play for a corner. It's going to be a double change, isn't it, Mark? Both Declan Rice and Calafiori are coming on. Look, Declan Rice looks full of business, doesn't he? And Kai Havertz coming off from the midfield first.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, definitely. I mean, both of them are going to come on now, and obviously it's going to make a little bit more difficult for Crystal Palace. They've obviously got, Declan Rice who's a fantastic player, fresh legs now as well. Calafiori is going to come in and just, I think, make sure that defensively they're a little bit more secure, Arsenal, even though Palace haven't really bothered them too much in the second half.
Declan Rice, who played last weekend against Everton, but then was given the night off in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday night, and he doesn't miss many matches, does he? And it is Lewis Skelly who is the other player who is currently being substituted. So the teenage left back, as he's been today, is replaced by Calafiori, who's coming back from another injury that's made him miss the last 5 matches. It's been another knee problem for the Italian international. But Calafiori, the Italian, the Roman with the long black hair, is onto the field. So double change for Arsenal after Palace have had a decent first 13 minutes of the second half.
Yeah, that one big chance, I think, in the opening minutes there, or 2 actually, where Raya's made, certainly with the first opportunity, a really good save down to his right hand side.
Arsenal playing the ball back to Raya. Saliba, the ball back to the goalkeeper who goes long. Timber, Odegaard gives it back to Timber, who passes it back to Odegaard. And Arsenal in the blue shirts with the sort of purple haze on it. Dark blue shorts, light blue socks, attacking from right to left. Calafiori now, straight swap coming on at left back. Trossard to Saliba. Saliba puts his foot on the ball, turns, he's not under pressure there, so he's able to find the pass to Odegaard, and then back to Saliba again, who's going to use Gabriel behind him, pulls it onto his left foot. Gabriel's pass, that's a good ball, it's beyond the defender Klein, and then the cross from Trossard. Jesus with a chance for a hat-trick, then the ball is turned into the net on the edge of the 6-yard area. Martinelli, after it was driven across by Rice, Martinelli was there to make it 4-1 Arsenal, and seemingly now, surely now, Arsenal are on the way to victory here.
Yeah, in the end it was too easy for him, wasn't it? You can see Nathaniel Klein tries to gamble. He gambles and comes forward, and by doing so, he leaves Trossard exposed and free to run into that space down the left-hand side. It's a fantastic ball in behind, and it's Trossard there. Trossard who's the one that then whips the ball into the 8-yard box. As he does so, we're just going to check whether it is offside or not. It's a really tight call. The initial shot was potentially offside. The actual goal, the ball in the back of the net, I don't think is offside. It's whether the first one, whether it's offside or not. It's really, really tight.
Yeah, it was that first ball across. So this will be before we confirm, it's Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 4. Palace are making a change, and Kamada is going to be replaced by Eddie Nketiah, the former Arsenal man who scored against them in the Carabao Cup on Wednesday night.
Let's also say straight away, I mean, certainly there was Gabriel Jesus should have scored. He had a big chance from about 7 yards out, and he mishits his shots. The easiest chance he's had tonight. He's mishit it, and Henderson did enough, gets his feet onto it, makes the block, and that's when the ball ricochets back out.
Yeah, ricocheted back out. Goal is confirmed. Martinelli has scored his 5th of the season for Arsenal, and it is Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 4. And as we said, Crystal Palace needed the next goal to continue this really as a contest. Instead, it's Arsenal who've got it, and they should be going back up above Nottingham Forest in the Premier League table, Mark.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Palace. You don't really see them coming back from this sort of scoreline. Obviously there's still a lot of football to be played, but the way that the game's gone so far, Arsenal just look in control. Yes, Palace have had a couple of chances in the second half, pretty big chances, but just haven't been clinical enough in front of goal. And every time Arsenal get forward, they seem to, make the difference. They seem to take their advantage and take their opportunities.
It was a glorious pass from Gabriel that set up the move that led to the goal, but it was over the top of Klein, who was out of position, and Trossard, as he has one over the top for Sarr, but Raya should deal with this outside the penalty area, which he does, just gets there ahead of the Palace man.
He does really well again, David Raya. He was in the right position at the right time. There was a bit of a deflected sort of attempted clearance from Arsenal's defender there, and it clipped up and it slowed the pace of the ball, and David Raya's timing was exceptional.
Arsenal in the mood. Martinelli's ball across the penalty area, blocked by Gay, comes back to the Brazilian. As 2 Palace players, Gay goes across there, and also Nketiah against his old team, playing against Arsenal for the second time this week. Did get the second Palace goal at the Emirates on Wednesday night in the Arsenal victory, but Arsenal very much now expected with this scoreline to make it 2 wins in the space of 4 days against Crystal Palace. Mark Gay was talking in the match programme actually this afternoon about how last season they had to play Manchester United twice in the League Cup and the League last season, lost at Old Trafford in the first match, went back there at the weekend and won that game, if you remember, with the Joachim Andersen goal. So they were looking to do something similar here today against Arsenal, but Arsenal really, I think, have just been too good.
Yeah, they've been on it from the off, haven't they? They've really looked to put Palace under a lot of pressure. Yes, Palace came back into the game. They did score. They did have a couple of chances, but Arsenal have definitely been the better side so far.
Here's one for Timber to chase, but he won't reach that, and it's seen out over the dead ball line for a goal kick to Crystal Palace. So Palace 1, Arsenal 4. Gabriel Martinelli joining Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz as the Arsenal goal scorers.
Yeah, Marc Guéhi just got a yellow card from a challenge on Martinelli. The referee allowed play to continue, and then he's gone back when the ball went dead to give Marc Guéhi then a yellow card.
Yeah, that must have been that challenge over on the far side in the left back position, which I think might have been hidden behind the pillar, Mark. As
the dreaded pillar.
The dreaded pillar, as Lacroix turns the ball to his left. And the atmosphere not quite what it was now before the match. You can still hear the drum somewhere up in the Holmesdale end. But Arsenal with Saliba, pacey pass to Odegaard on the halfway line. Here he comes again, Odegaard turning, facing the action, arms pumping as he does so. Then back it goes into central defence. Arsenal keeping possession now. Still 25 minutes to play in the match. Trossard tries to get round Klein, who goes to ground. Is able to find the pass to Hughes. Now here's Mateta. Back to Lerma and Hughes. And now Palace move forward again with Marc Guéhi. And Nketiah comes short and gives it back to the Crystal Palace captain. And now Lacroix again. Just on his left foot. Actually uses his right to play it square. Palace going to make another change as well. All of the Christmas and New Year matches coming up, so I'm sure that's in the minds of the managers as well. Judging by the way that they speak publicly, it's never out of the mind of the managers how many matches they have in the schedule that's ahead of them. But Crystal Palace, who will go to Bournemouth on Boxing Day, whereas it's not until Friday that Arsenal play again at home against Ipswich. Of course, coverage of all of the matches over the course of Christmas and the New Year, you will hear that on 5 Live, and lots of commentaries as the ball is played forward by Nketiah. Calafiori inside the penalty area, out to Trossard to Rice. First chance he's had to open his legs and set off over the halfway line, which he has. Declan Rice now, right-footed ball across. Martinelli's header. Jesus can't get there. It's turned back across by Trossard. Not sure if he kept it in or not. He did. He did keep it in.
Unfortunately for Gabriel Jesus, because he's running to that far post, desperately trying to keep the ball in. Trossard is already there. He doesn't realise he's there. Had Jesus stayed in the 6-yard box, Trossard gets it, whips the ball into a great area, but no one's there.
No one's there. Jesus tried to get there. He could easily have had another hat-trick here tonight, Gabriel Jesus.
He still may.
He still may. As Arsenal are forced by Sarr, good pressing, forcing Saliba to miscontrol it out for a corner to Palace.
Yeah, it was good a play from Palace now. I mean, the problem that Palace have had, though, out of possession, when they try and pressurise Arsenal, when they're trying to play out at the back line drop deeper. And you can see Oliver Glasner getting quite frustrated on the sideline. He's trying to tell his team to stay more compact. The back line's dropping. The midfield and the forwards are engaging to try and put pressure on the ball. It's one straight pass, one simple pass in between the lines, because there's so much space in between the defenders and the midfield.
So here's the Hughes corner for Palace, an outswinger. Lerma gets his head to it. There were light blue Arsenal shirts all around him. It bounced down and was whacked away to the halfway line. Still, they're waiting to make that next change. Crystal Palace. Cheikh Doucouré waiting to come on into the Palace midfield. But with a 4-1 scoreline, Arsenal are comfortable here, and it's their supporters that you can hear singing away over on the far side, many of them on their feet, lots and lots of Santa hats all around the ground, as Klein takes the ball down just in front of us here on the Palace right wing, then back in field, and Lacroix now to Guéhi. Lerma comes across, the Colombian, plays it infield to Hughes, and then Richards, and now the Arsenal press is on, and Lerma actually in the end plays it way behind Guéhi, so far behind Guéhi that it actually goes out of play for a throw into Arsenal, and that was good pressure from Arsenal. They forced the error, and they're going to make a double change, Mark, Crystal Palace. So Lerma is coming off to be replaced by Doucouré, And I'm pleased to say as well, I'm going to see live for the first time this rising star of Crystal Palace, the midfielder, the Northern Ireland international as he is now, Justin Devaney, as Will Hughes gets a final chorus of his surname. So Hughes and Lerma off, and Devaney and Doucouré are on.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just trying to freshen things up again, get a little bit more fresh legs on that pitch, because at the moment Palace look a little bit flat.
But I know in Northern Ireland they are quite excited about Devaney and what he might be able to do. The Scottish-born Northern Ireland international. His mother's from Northern Ireland, number 55, who did play in Scotland with Kilmarnock. He went out on loan, played for Airdrieonians, and then got this move to the Premier League. And Crystal Palace with a goal kick that they play out from the back. So all change in central midfield for Palace, with those two going off and these two coming on. As Calafiori is quick in there on Klein, gets it back. Calafiori's ball across the edge of the penalty area, bounces off Trossard back to goalkeeper Henderson, who's able to come out and field it. So 4-1 Arsenal lead. On Sports Extra, the rugby continues in the Premiership, where it's Newcastle 15, Bath 28. That is right now on Sports Extra or via BBC Sounds if you're on the move. Other latest scores: Sale 21, Exeter 3, and in the United Rugby Championship, Ospreys 18, Scarlets 22, and Leinster 17, Connacht 5. Crystal Palace with Devaney. Trossard tries to dispossess him. Devaney forward, but Calafiori sticks out a leg. However, it bounces back to Doucouré, who turns the full 360 degrees, the Mali international, and goes back into his own half, much to the displeasure of one or two Palace fans in front of us.
Yeah, the thing was, you see Arsenal so compact, the line, there's no space in between the lines. There was no Palace player looking to try and make a run in behind. David Raya is obviously covering that area as well, so it has to be spot on and it has to be very obvious for a pass to be played, and Doucouré obviously didn't see one and looks to play it back again.
Here he is again, Doucouré, rather hunched in the way that he plays when he's on the ball. Klein then passes it back behind him to Richards. Oliver Glasner comes out. Oliver Glasner, still relatively early days. It was only February when he was appointed, but I suppose for a manager now, that's a period of time on which you're judged. But a good recovery this season after that excellent end to last season when he took over from Roy Hodgson. Here's Richards now down in the Arsenal left back position, and in comes Calafiori with quite a forceful challenge there on Richards. The ball eventually bounces behind. I think he's given the free kick.
I think he'd call it a bit of a loss of head, really. He got dispossessed and he's just frustrated. He comes running back. You could see all the way that he was going to commit the foul. There's nothing bad about the foul. It's just a silly foul to give away. And you can see Trossard's pushing his hands to the ground, saying, calm down. There's no need to give a free kick away like that.
Arsenal don't need to get involved with a 4-1 lead. Don't need to get involved in anything like that. They don't need to give Palace any encouragement. Because, a goal back, you know what it can be like here. So it's a free kick, and Devaney is going to take it. Devaney is one of the socks down brigade, left-footed into the near post, headed away by Gabriel Jesus, then headed forward for Palace, but then headed forward for Odegaard the other way, and Martinelli's got a toe to that, and he's able to play it forward to Trossard, who's in a wideish position. He's into the box on the left-hand side, back onto his right foot. Palace have got men back now. That was a risky-ish challenge on him, but it's played up towards the halfway line where Nketiah is able to take it down and is forced to actually go all the way back to the edge of his own penalty area, where Mark Gay will just add a bit of composure to it all.
Yeah, Crystal Palace almost again just given Arsenal a sort of an opportunity there, trying to defend, win the ball back from their own corner.
They've done it again as well. Lacroix giving it away. Now Martinelli into the box. In it comes. Jesus was up for the header, but Richards came across to get his head to it first and nod it behind. But another opportunity there, a half chance for Jesus.
Yeah, I think it was Richards' sheer physical presence there. He was able to get in front of Jesus there. He outmuscles him because he needed to, because Jesus otherwise was lining up, head up from about 7 yards out.
5 Live, lines open to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. 08085 909 693 606 will be on the air from round about 7:30 tonight, and then from 9 it'll be back to Mark Chapman and the team in Saudi Arabia for the build-up and the commentary on Usyk against Fury. But it is an Arsenal corner, therefore all eyes on Gabriel Jesus, who is jockeying for position near the penalty spot. In comes the delivery. Gabriel got his head to it, but it was actually headed away. The defender was in there as well, and comes back into the penalty area. Had to be stabbed away by Doucouré. Was out of play for a throw-in to Arsenal on the left-hand side. There's a Palace player who's just taken a knock in there. Mark Gay, who's just down on his haunches, so referee Hooper has gone across to see how he is. He is such a handful, Mark Gabriel, isn't he, in the opposing penalty area?
Yeah, he really is, and he just takes up really good positions. Like he's just waiting. Like, he knows, okay, there are times where he gets involved and he tries to get on the end of it. Other times he loiters. He loiters with intent. That's probably the best way to describe him. And then he's more often than not in the right position.
Already this season, all three of the Premier League goals that he's scored have been headers from corners, and in this match he actually had a header from a corner against the crossbar in the build-up to it was one of the Jesus goals, wasn't it? No, it was the Havertz goal when then Jesus, in the aftermath of that, headed against the post. So 4-1, if you've just joined us, Gabriel Jesus with a couple of goals, Kai Havertz, Martinelli, the other goal scorers. Ismaila Sarr made it 1-1 for Crystal Palace on this Saturday night, on the weekend before Christmas. If you are out and about, you can continue to listen to us via BBC Sounds, and indeed if you get a smart speaker for Christmas next week, you can tell it to play Radio 5 Live and listen to our commentaries that way. Here is Declan Rice playing the ball to the left-hand side to Jesus, who's gone for goal, but it took a little deflection, took the pace off it, and it bounced through to Henderson to race out of his 6-yard box to claim the ball. 15 minutes to play, Mark?
Yeah, Palace just need to, if they want to get back in this game, they're going to have to take some risks. At the moment, they're just sort of cruising through it a little bit. Yeah, they're trying to push forward. They're not doing enough. They're not putting enough pressure on the ball. They're trying to play out still at the back. Arsenal are putting them under a lot of pressure. They're very rarely, certainly in this last 15-20 minutes, put any real meaningful pressure on Arsenal's goal.
Here's Eddie Nketiah, though. All those years in an Arsenal shirt, now in the blue and red of Crystal Palace, carrying the ball for Doucouré, just stood on it. He was being put off by Odegaard, so actually had to recover and play it back. Gay then forward, looking for the run of Sarr into the box. That was watched by Gabriel. He got his head to it. Timber now is able to get to the ball first. Saliba then comes across. He under some pressure, and now he's still out there on the far side. Saliba loses the ball, so he's out of position. Palace coming forward. Sarr back to Devaney. Justin Devaney, little ball to the edge of the area to Mateta, then back to Sarr again, who goes round the outside of Rice, shoots but into the outstretched leg of Calafiori, and the ball ricochets out of play just down in front of us for a throw.
Yeah, Arsenal doubled up him really well. It was Rice who was with him initially, then Calafiori comes in as Sarr was lining up his shot, and he's the one that pulls off the big block.
4-1 Arsenal lead. One thing I'd forgotten about Selhurst Park, not having been here for a little while, of how they have the seats that we commentate on are on casters, aren't they? Casters on a wooden floor, so while you commentate you sort of glide around, don't you? It's quite a strange feeling.
Well, I actually think it works to our advantage because of the pillars.
Yeah,
because you can move from both sides. You know, you've got a little bit of an area you can manoeuvre around in.
You can change your perspective, can't you?
You certainly can.
Devaney, left-footed ball right across the pitch to the far side. Timber comes short, and it's played back to the left corner of the penalty area. Gay into the box, to turn by Nketiah against his former teammate Saliba, who just got his foot to it to direct it out of play for a throw that Tyrant Mitchell out there might take. He does. Mitchell back into centre field to Doucouré, and then the forward pass from Lacroix. Doucouré holds off Declan Rice, but in comes the challenge and it bounces forward to Odegaard, and Arsenal have it inside their own half. So with this win, if it is to be a win for Arsenal, that would be them up to 33 points, you know, which would be just 1 point behind Chelsea and 3 behind Liverpool, who both play tomorrow. Both matches, commentary on those matches and many others on 5 Live Sports Extra and the BBC Sport website tomorrow. Indeed, all of the matches that are being played tomorrow are either on 5 Live, Sports Extra or you can listen to the commentary via the BBC Sport website and app. You'll be able to find the links to them there, as Sarr is dispossessed and Arsenal have got it back inside their own half.
Well, it's another great example. That was Gabriel Jesus, who's come back and come off the shoulder, the blind side of Sarr. As Sarr's looking to play the ball, he comes in and just takes the ball off him, plays it to his defender, and off they go again. And Gabriel Jesus just turns and trots off straight away back to his number 9 position.
Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 4. But good tests, aren't they, for Arsenal and Chelsea tomorrow, away from home. 2 o'clock, Everton-Chelsea on 5 Live after the takeover news this week. Calafiori was caught there. You could hear him. That was his voice, because it's quite close to this side of the pitch. As he played it infield, Klein caught him. It was late, and there's the yellow card for the Crystal Palace right wing back, and Calafiori is still writhing on the ground.
Yeah, he was a little. I mean, it's just mistimed, and he treads on him, and he looks like he's almost like rolled his ankle a bit. This could be a bit of a nasty one, actually. It's unfortunate for him, and he is rolling around in quite some discomfort.
I think he just caught him with the bottom of his studs on his ankle, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's kind of rolled it, and just hope it's not too serious.
Well, let's hope not, with his injury record, which is, he's a classy defender, isn't he? We've seen that already with Arsenal. We saw it in the summer with Italy, and last season as well. Well, Bologna did so well.
Yeah, no, very much so. I mean, at the Euros it was difficult, really, because Italy obviously underperformed massively. He was probably one of the brightest sparks out of that tournament for Italy, and then obviously since he's been at Arsenal, it's just been a bit of a stop-start for him. It's been really tough for him to find some momentum because of the fact he's had so many injuries. So you hope that this is not another one.
Yes. He sort of eased his way into the team at the start of the season, and then since then has had 2 spells out, Calafiori, and he is just being administered to, and we'll see whether he's able to come on. He's taken his headband off. I think he's putting it back on, which might be a good sign, as Klein is going to be replaced by the youngster Kapora, who is coming on, another 18-year-old. So the 18-year-old Caleb Kapora, who started for Palace for the first time on Wednesday, has come on to replace Klein, and actually Mateta is coming off as well. So Jeffrey Schlupp coming on to take the place of Mateta, and I think, if anything, with 10 minutes to play and Mateta being brought off, I think that's an acknowledgement by Oliver Glasner that Palace aren't going to get back into this today.
Yeah, no, I think it's an uphill battle for him. When you're talking about just over 10 minutes to go, possibly with stoppage time, maybe a little bit longer. It doesn't look like it. To get 3 goals to get back in this game, you never know. We've seen many games in the past where it's been crazy, but at the moment, the way this game is going, Arsenal do look like they're in total control.
So young Kapora has taken up a place on the right-hand side as the right wing-back. He is versatile. He's a young man who came through at Welling initially, and then the Crystal Palace Academy. They have a great record here at this football club of bringing players through the academy. Always have done, really, over the years. And Kapora now is in a battle with Jesus, but across comes the cover from Lacroix to put it out of play for an Arsenal throw 10 yards back from the corner flag. Less than 10 minutes to play. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 4. Arsenal on the way to a victory and to extend this run that they're on to 10 matches unbeaten in all competitions. But having drawn the last 2 Premier League matches, they needed to win this, but they are doing.
Yeah, they did. I think this is a big game for them today, Arsenal, and they seemed to be right up from it from the start, and they deserve to be in front. They deserve to be in control of this game because they've played, I think, almost the perfect game today.
And the ball comes back to Raya, who has made probably 4 or 5 decent saves. He has been tested today as a fine goalkeeper yourself, Mark. Where do you put Raya in the list of Premier League goalkeepers? He's pretty near the top of the list, isn't he?
It's amazing, really, to see how much he's grown since he's been at Arsenal. I think initially it was a tough one. I think there was an enormous amount of pressure on him. The fact that you come in And there's a lot of debate as to whether or not he should be starting or not. Aaron Ramsdale was the number one. I think in certain quarters he was very well liked and appreciated, and I think he did really well. So I think overall he's really established himself, and rightly so, as the number one for Arsenal. He's certainly up there with the top 2 or 3 goalkeepers in the Premier League on current form.
Might come back to that. Arsenal attacking. Rice gives it to Trossard, who wins a throw-in down near the corner flag. Declan Rice just running his fingers through his hair, leans over. The England man pulls up his socks to the very top of his knee, and indeed over the tops of his knees. Throw-in that Calafiori will take. He's okay, he's been able to continue, and he takes the throw. Rice now, left-footed ball has gone a long way and has landed at the feet of Timber just outside the penalty area. Still going, then Martinelli, change of feet, and it comes into the middle for Trossard, but Trossard couldn't sort his feet out, so Palace able to get it away, but only back to Martinelli. Just need a little extra glide on the casters there to see the ball clipped in by Odegaard, but it's over the top of Declan Rice and is headed away down into the full-back position, where Gabriel Jesus gives it to Calafiori, and Rice now with a shot that finds the back of the net. Henderson diving, got a little touch on it, but not enough, and Declan Rice scores his first Premier League goal of the season and puts this match absolutely beyond doubt. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 5, and Rice and his teammates celebrate in front of the Arsenal fans.
Yeah, it's an exceptional finish from Declan Rice. It's almost a copycat from the first half when Salah curls one into that far post. This time it's a little bit more power on it, a little bit further in that corner, and Dean Henderson makes a really valiant attempt to try and save it, gets fingertips on it, but it's too much pace and too much direction. It's an excellent finish.
Declan Rice, just the one goal so far this season, scored in the Carabao Cup against Bolton. And remember last season, in the end he scored 7 goals for Arsenal across the various competitions. Showed that he can be a real threat, and that was a super finish.
It really was. I mean, he gets played the ball inside the 18-yard box, and he takes a step into it, opens up the hips again, and really hits it with a nice sort of swing and pace on it into that far corner. Like I said, Henderson gets a chance to save it, just can't get enough on it. It would have been an absolute world-class save had he made it, but it's a brilliant finish.
Just waiting for play to get underway again, whether VAR are just having a look at this. There's going to be a couple of changes anyway for Arsenal in the aftermath of that. So Mikel Merino is going to come on, and the 17-year-old, the highly rated Ethan Nwaneri, also coming on. So that is it for Gabriel Jesus. It won't be 2 hat-tricks in the week for Gabriel Jesus, but I think 2 goals in the first 14 minutes of this match made it a very good afternoon for him, and I think that's Timber as well, isn't it, who's made way.
Yeah, Thomas Partey's gone to right fullback for Arsenal and to take over from Timber, and there's a bit of a shuffle. Merino obviously in midfield, and Arsenal now just looking like they're going to see this game out and possibly even hungry for more. Who knows? They'll probably still keep trying to put pressure on Palace and see how many goals they can end up with.
Well, Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 5 is quite an emphatic away win, isn't it? After coming not too far off the back of a 5-2 win at West Ham last month, and actually, if you remember, in the Champions League as well, they won 5-1 at Sporting in Lisbon. So that is 3 wins in the space of a few weeks away from home, scoring 5 goals in each match. That's not bad.
I don't think there's ever a doubt that Arsenal can't score goals. It's there's a recent sort of dip in form a little bit where they've like last week at home to Everton, a lot of chances, not making the most of it, a lot of shots towards goal, not on target enough of them, didn't make the most of it, weren't clinical enough. This week obviously they've scored a bundle of goals in the Carabao Cup and now today in this Premier League game, so they seemingly getting back to being more prolific in front of goal, and if they're going to have any chance to finish in the top 2 or 3 places, they're going to have to make sure they continue this momentum.
Yeah. 5-1 Arsenal lead. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693. I can see actually hundreds, possibly thousands of empty blue and red seats now in the Holmesdale end. You don't often see that.
Well, the minute that 5th goal went in, there was a huge number of people, exodus of people leaving out of the stadium. Everyone realised that was it. There's no chance now, and they've had enough.
Yes, exodus, to use a biblical word at Christmas, and probably on the Saturday night before Christmas. It's entirely possible, Mark, that people have got places to go, and they're going there. 08085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, neither of whom have got anywhere better to go on the Saturday night before Christmas, so they're waiting for your calls. Don't disappoint them, not before Christmas. There's Raya in his own penalty area, long downfield. Nwaneri pulls that ball down beautifully. He was not under pressure, but he plays it forward to Martinelli inside the penalty area. Martinelli gets the bounce of the ball, but Devaney was in there to get it away, and then Mitchell turns it away towards the halfway line. Have you seen much of him, Nwaneri?
No, I haven't actually. No, this is the first time I get a chance to see him.
He's a real talent.
Yeah, I'd expect it. I mean, any player that's coming through the Arsenal ranks, have an opportunity to play in this first team, have to be of high quality. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you look across the whole Arsenal side, there's quality everywhere. Yeah,
just his 18th appearance in a senior competitive match for Arsenal. He's already got 4 goals this season. He got his first Premier League goal in the recent win against Nottingham Forest. But he's got a lovely touch, low centre of gravity, and 5-1 up. He's got a bit of a licence here. He's actually kind of in the most advanced role through the middle, isn't he, where he's playing now?
Yeah, I think he's basically just replaced Gabriel Jesus, taking up his position.
And we should have another little word about Gabriel Jesus, who, out of almost nowhere, has had such a good week, hasn't he, with the hat-trick and then 2 goals here to set the tone for this Arsenal performance.
It is a little bit out of nowhere, but you look at him as a player and over his career, even just in England alone, there's no reason why we should be surprised, because he's got unbelievable quality. I think it's an injury issues. He's had time in the first team, in and out of the side, not getting momentum, losing possibly a little bit of belief.
As Schlupp on the edge of the area for Palace tries a shot, but that was deflected, and Raya's able to come out and pick up. He did a lovely interview actually with John Southall after the hat-trick on Wednesday night, which will still be on the Football Daily. Actually, if you go onto BBC Sounds, look for the Football Daily feed. It's on there, but it meant such a lot to him. He was talking about, I think they've got another child on the way as well, so he was talking about his upbringing. He went through the gamut. He went through the whole lot. There was a lot of emotion came out.
Well, he certainly looked like the Gabriel Jesus of old. I mean, he just looked exceptional today, and I think he was unfortunate and probably will be frustrated with himself in a little way that he did not get a hat-trick. Should have.
Yeah, very probably the player of the week. As Martinelli has it on the right-hand side for Arsenal, who are coasting to victory now. In comes the cross, that's headed away by Kapora, headed it out to Odegaard. Odegaard then square to Calafiori. Paul Scott, who's with us tonight as our producer interviewer, just arranging himself, so you'll hear Paul's interviews with the managers during the course of 606, so stay with us for that. They'll be live if we can. Might be a player or two as well, and if not, Football Daily when it comes out to round up all of today's events in the Premier League, which you can talk about with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on 606, and then all of the highlights tonight with Gary Lineker on Match of the Day on BBC One, Alan Shearer and Micah Richards with Gary Lineker this evening on Match of the Day, as I say, BBC One, or anytime on the iPlayer. Declan Rice has the ball for Arsenal. Declan Rice getting on the score sheet himself with a very good finish. Certainly keep an eye out for that tonight. Declan Rice, I've seen him score a couple of goals this season for England in Dublin, which was a very special one for him, and also in the win that Lee Carsley's side had in Helsinki. And here is Declan Rice again, playing the ball across the back line to Saliba. It's just control this from Arsenal. Their supporters, who are very tightly packed still in their section. I can just see the first probably 8 or 10 rows of them from where we sit here in the main stand over on the other side of the ground. And Arsenal just almost coming to a standstill with the ball as they play it back to Raya. We're 2 minutes into added time at the end of the match, and Arsenal have certainly managed to manoeuvre themselves a little closer to Chelsea and Liverpool ahead of their matches tomorrow. Devaney for Palace, back to Lacroix, and now Chris Richards, the USA World Cup player, playing it forward towards Sarr. Kapora, the number 58, back to Richards, but Arsenal have got everyone back behind the ball. Square from Devaney, who very nearly gave it away, but Odegaard wasn't able to latch onto it from Nwaneri's pass, so Palace still have it. We're in the 3rd minute of added time, not long to go, as well, there might have been a shirt tug there by Nketiah, but it didn't matter because the ball bounced through towards Raya. So what about the situation at the top of the table then, Mark? Liverpool 36 points, Chelsea 34, and Arsenal will have 33 after this. And don't forget Nottingham Forest on 31. Back Manchester City down in 5th place on 27.
Yeah, well, obviously Liverpool have that game in hand as well. Obviously they need to win that, but it's a case of Liverpool at the moment have their noses in front, but I've been impressed with the way Chelsea have been this season. I think surprised Enzo Maresca has done an incredible job at turning their fortune around. I think Arsenal are very much in the race as well, as we all know. You know what? I know City's been as poor as they've been. It's just, you wonder, are they really out of it?
Still not ruling them out yet. No. As Mitchell receives the ball on the left-hand side. We're in the final moments of this match now. Arsenal 5-1 up. Doucouré playing it square to Devaney, then back to Doucouré, but it ran away from him. His touch took it straight into the path of Partey, who was able to clear it for Arsenal. And Richards has got the ball for Crystal Palace. Oliver Glasner comes forward with one finger raised into the air as the ball finds Mitchell again on the left-hand side, and then back to the halfway line. Gay with a long right-footed pass over towards this side of the field. Trossard gets up there, headed away, and then there's a tug on Marino by Devaney, and a free kick for Arsenal. You did say, Mark, that no one was doubting Arsenal's ability to score goals, but in actual fact, you know, there were one or two questions to Mikel Arteta before this match about the lack of goals from open play, but they've replied to that.
I think it was right to question where the goals are coming from, because they just haven't been as prolific as what we're probably expecting them to do. They've got players that can score goals, there's no doubt about it. We've shown it again tonight. I think the biggest criticism Arsenal always receive, certainly of late, is about they don't have an out-and-out number 9. They don't have someone who's a proven goal scorer that's going to score you goals all the time, but then who does?
Yeah, and is Gabriel Jesus going to be the answer to that, as the final whistle goes, with Odegaard actually shooting against the Crystal Palace crossbar after the whistle had gone. But that's it, a really, really satisfying win for Arsenal here at Selhurst Park. They went at each other in the first half, but those two goals from Gabriel Jesus in the first 14 minutes, Ismaila Sarr briefly made it 1-1, but then Havertz, Martinelli, and then in the last 5 minutes Declan Rice weighed in with further goals for Arsenal, who have won it. It's a 10-match unbeaten run for them in all competitions now, and Arsenal move to within 3 points of the leaders. Good win for them, Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah, much needed win. I think after the draw last weekend at home to Everton, that was a bitter blow for them. Certainly a very big disappointment that they didn't win that game, pick up 3 points. But today was, I think, a really good return to good form. They deserved to win it. They were good. They were the better team from the off, and they took their chances, and it could have been actually far more as well.
And a word on Palace, who've got, over the course of the next week, matches at Bournemouth and at home to Southampton.
Yeah, look, I think they've turned things around. Like, okay, today wasn't their best performance, but they came up against a very good Arsenal side. Gabriel Jesus is obviously absolutely on fire, an incredible week that he's had. It's about learning from this game. They weren't good enough today. They didn't take their chances. Maybe they took their chances at the particular moments they had in the game. Maybe the result could have been different. We'll never know. But Arsenal deserve to win, and they've got to learn from it and look to move on from this and continue their momentum that they've had over the last couple of weeks.
And just a final word from you, Mark. You know, we mentioned Gabriel Jesus. I suppose it could be a question and a talking point for 606 with Robbie and Chris, which is coming up very shortly after the news. You know, is Gabriel Jesus now going to get a run in the team?
I think he has to. I mean, the week that he's had, he's got to be as their number 9 for certainly the next couple of games.
Thank you very much, Mark. Enjoy your Christmas.
Thank you.
And after the news, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will be standing by with 606. So give them a call on 08 085 909 693. Get in touch. Hashtag BBC 606. Text 85058. So Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton on the way. Straight after them at 9 o'clock, we will be taking you back to Saudi Arabia, back to Riyadh. Mark Chapman is there, and he will have the build-up to and the commentary on the Usyk Fury fight tonight, which will be commentated on by Ron McIntosh. George Groves and Anthony Crolla will be with him. We will have all of the fallout from that in 5 Live Breakfast in the morning from 7 o'clock. Gordon Smart and Ellie Oldroyd together for that, and then at the same time turning attention towards tomorrow's football coverage. Colin Murray, of course, from 10 o'clock, a great build-up to 5 Live Sport. The great football songbook tomorrow. The subject from 10:30 is Leyton Orient, so that will be on at 10:30. That's a very enjoyable Sunday morning listen. And then, as I say, all of the matches, commentary on all of the matches tomorrow on 5 Live Sports Extra via the BBC Sport website and app. And on 5 Live from 2 you will hear Everton Chelsea, and then from 4:30 it is Tottenham against Liverpool. So join us for all of that tomorrow, but before that, join Robbie and Chris for 606 after the news on 5 Live with Fraser Dainton.